Welcome everyone, Pat Mitchell here. Today we are going to be discussing this upcoming election year, how to trade it, some of my thoughts, what I'm going to be doing a little bit differently. We're going to dive into charts as well, and I'll just kind of give you a little bit of perspective. We're going to be talking micro and macro, which means the broader view, and then on more so like a day trading perspective. So this upcoming election year, we have one full year that is going to be, mark my words, the most volatile election cycle in history. It is going to be extremely volatile. We're going to have probably some rioting. Cities are going to burn. Possibly something else will be released that locks us down. The whole nine. It's going to be ridiculous, guys. Right now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that they're going to stop at nothing to keep former President Trump from getting on the ballot. He's already been removed from the Colorado ballot. Now, whether that ends up passing through, we'll see what happens. But already it's getting volatile, and we're not even into 2024 yet. So we have three candidates. We have former President Trump, Joe Biden so far, and then we have Robert Kennedy Jr. Now, let's talk briefly and get Robert Kennedy Jr. out of the way here. Do I think he'll have a chance? No, I think he'll do all right. I do think it's a possibility he could, in a perfect world, he could, but because of the bipartisan system that the United States have, I just don't think there's going to be enough votes. So it's going to be between former President Trump and Joe Biden. Now let's talk about Joe Biden. Will he be running? Well, as far as I understand so far, yes, he is. But there is impeachment proceedings going on right now that actually do have some weight. That could be a major issue, as well as his son into all sorts of horrible things. And I'm not just talking about the drugs. That's one thing, but there's other things, and there is video evidence of it, and that ain't good. And that's not going to look and bode well for the Biden family, okay? And then we have former President Trump. So former President Trump, obviously, the laws are going to try and get in his way. The media is definitely going to try and get in its way. So do you see how all three can create volatility? So you have a perfect storm. Each one of these major candidates, there's a potential for volatility there, big time. On any day over the next 365 days plus, news can drop that can change the course of the presidential outcome very easily. So when we talk about that in the market's view, we can have huge swings up, but most likely huge swings down, because all three of these, in my belief, would be negative catalysts, okay? So let's talk about what will happen if Robert Kennedy Jr. is not elected or drops out of the race. Market-wise, I don't think much, to be honest. I believe if he gets in, that the market would come up. I believe he has some great ideas for the economy, although it's like I don't necessarily agree with all of them, but nobody does with any one of these candidates. You're not going to agree 100% on what they say. That's how it works. But will it be a positive or negative outcome? I don't think it'll have too much of an outcome if he gets removed, okay? So now we're down to two. Let's just talk about these two, Biden and former President Trump. So let's talk about Biden first. What happens to the market in a macro view if the wider view, the bigger picture, if Joe Biden gets elected back in? I do believe the market will come down. I don't think that the economy can withstand another 4 years of this with inflation, the spending that's going on. And I know one can make the argument that former President Trump spent a lot of money too. Yes, but he also saved a lot here and there as well. And again, it's like they're just facts, guys, okay? I'm not a Trump dick rider. Some people think that I am. I'm not. But I will say he did do a lot of good. People have a hard time looking past the bad and him saying things like grab her in the pussy, and they'll focus on that, where they need to be focusing on what he's doing for your country. Does he say some fucked up things? Yeah, he does. But most genuine, legitimate, high-level executives, CEOs, owners, that's how they speak. I hate to break it to you guys. The problem is a lot of people have only been in mid-level management positions where you and what you say needs to be bound by the HR department. Those men and women that are way up there, the absolute savages out there, the beasts, the big boys and big girls, they don't hold back, guys. They say what's on their mind and they curse like a fucking sailor, period. That's how it is, because they answer to nobody, okay? So that's the difference between high level and low level, mid level. It's just like, there's no comparison. So anyways, there's that. But let's get back to Biden here. So again, if he gets in, I don't believe that it's good for the overall economy and the market. I believe the market will drop, okay? So there's that. What happens on the macro view if President Trump gets in? Well, I believe the market will rally again. He's good for the business of America. He's America first. So that will obviously boost the economy. You cannot dispute that. Look at the rally that we had before. It was ridiculous. Now, people will say, well, look at the rally that Biden had. Well, I'll tell you what, that's after the ball dropped on COVID, okay? So there's a difference there, period. And a lot of people, they don't want to come with facts. Those are the facts, okay? So that's kind of like the macro view, if they get in. Now let's talk about the macro view leading up to. Well, it's going to be a very volatile year. And let's dive into the charts quickly. And I just want to give you just a kind of a quick dissection of where we are and what we're going to do. So right now, this is the SPY, the S&P 500 ETF. We actually trade this pretty much every day here at Tricktrades. And I want to make the point that a lot of people will try and make the argument that, well, look at Joe Biden's America right now. We're back into all-time highs. We are, but that's not based on necessarily what he's doing. So what's going on actually is on these charts is there's so much negative catalyst that is surrounding the world right now that people are shorting this market very heavily, starting here, right at this last peak. Okay, there's actually a double top there, triple top almost. So how did we get higher than that? Well, that's based off of people shorting the shit out of it right here. Okay, right in there on that run up in this area. All of that volume is generally shorts. And once the market makers and the institutions see an opportunity to drive the market higher so that they can start selling, that's what they saw. So they saw an opportunity. They stopped out these shorts, which doesn't take much because a lot of them have weak hands, and it continued up based off of squeeze. So you can see right over here is previous all-time highs. We are quickly approaching that, but do you see how it stalls out right before that and it starts consolidating? Well, that tells me there's not a lot of buyers up here. So what are we going to do over the course of the next year? Are we going to break all-time highs? The potential for that is a yes, but I don't believe, and it's important to note, like we're not going to like possibly not going up to 550. I think that would be the absolute maximum that this market would go up to. And I think more realistically, 500 to like 510, 515, somewhere in that area. And then that's where it's going to start coming back down, making its way back down over time, not quickly, all the way back down to here. So essentially, what I want to get through to you guys is we are going to be locked into a consolidation with a maximum of, that might be a little bit high. Let's come down to here, okay? So that's what we are actually looking at. We're going to be locked into a consolidation over the course of the next year, plus or minus a little bit. Okay, you got to give a good, 15 points of range plus, 15 points of range minus, but we are going to consolidate. We're also going to have very volatile swings, not swings intraday, but swings on the daily. It's going to come down very fast, and then it's going to come up very fast, and then it's going to slowly saunter, and then some sort of news is going to hit, and it's going to fucking sell off real hard and fast. So we're essentially going to be playing a range. So how do we use this to our advantage? Well, next time, I'm talking now, this isn't from a day trading perspective right now. This is more swing trading or shorter term investment perspective, okay? When we come down, whenever it comes down into this 348.85, I'm going to start averaging into a long, starting in at this like 374, and I'll start averaging all the way down into this level. Now, when I say averaging, it's not going to be some massive position or something like that. That's not what I'm talking about. It's actually going to be a very small position, getting most of my size into that 350 area. Okay, so there's that. Next time we come up, now I want to see what happens over the next probably 2-3 weeks. And when we come up into this area, if we get up there, I will start shorting that by buying puts, long-term puts. And if we cannot break this, then I'm going to use this channel as my definitive range. Every time we come up to this area, I will go short. Every time we come down to this area, I will go long. Okay? So again, that's from a swing trading and investment perspective, what I just went over on these charts. Now let's talk day trading. Well, day trading wise, my strategy doesn't change. Day in, day out, it doesn't change. Okay, for the last decade, okay, for the last 10 years, I've traded the same way. Now it's evolved, but it's always been at the core of the same strategy. Okay, I do not deviate from my strategy, and that's very important. If you actually truly understand what the word strategy means, and that's not to be like, that's not a slight against anyone. A lot of people actually don't know what that means in its core. Strategy needs to be traded day in and day out the exact same way. No biases, nothing. Very mechanical, very methodical, okay? And it's not going to change for me, okay? I will continue to trade the exact same strategy that I've traded for the last decade. I don't care if the market is coming up like a bat out of hell. I don't care if it's absolutely selling off and the market's crashing. I don't care if the market's consolidating and going sideways. It doesn't matter to me. I trade the exact same way. Okay, and that's important to realize, and this is why I have had success over the past decade, is because of that. Now let's talk about the changes and the tweaks that I'll make to the strategy. The core strategy remains the same. I do not touch that, no matter what. But what I will do is I will be sizing down over this next year, because we are going to be at the drop of a hat. We can experience massive volatility, and it's generally going to be to the negative side. Okay, remember that. It doesn't matter though if I'm long or if I'm short, I am still going to size way down. As we get closer into the actual election, we are going to be experiencing more and more and more volatility if Trump makes it to that vote, okay? The closer we get, and if they don't knock him off, either figuratively or literally, okay, somehow, some way, if they can't get rid of him, and it goes to ballot, it's going to get super volatile, guys, big time, in a real serious way. Now, I'm going to give a little caveat. There's also a little bit of a dark horse here. I know like a lot of people are talking about it, but it does hold weight, and it is something that can absolutely happen. With the amount of wars that are going on and the escalation, there is a potential to enact the Wars Act. And there's a lot that goes on to that and into that, but for the most part, they don't necessarily have to have an election this upcoming year. And personally, if Trump is looking like he's leading the polls, they'll never allow him to get back into office. They won't. They won't, guys. And I don't think, like, to wrap up my thoughts on this, I do not think that any outcome is a good outcome. I really don't. whether Biden gets in or Trump gets in or whatever Democrat that they put in charge, potentially Gavin Newsom, but I don't think so. I don't think they're going to put him in. There's no good outcome here, guys. It's bad. The shape that we're in right now isn't good. And I don't want to get all doom and gloom and shit, but facts are facts. And no matter what side you lean on, we're so divided. And I think the biggest takeaway is right now, we need to find a way without a violent way to come back. The only problem is, and I run scenarios in my head constantly, no matter what I'm thinking about. And the sad reality is I can't think of one scenario that is a peaceful resolution to any of this, to where we start getting along with each other again. The only way that happens is potentially another 9/11 event, something like that, to bring people together. And that's the sad fact. It shouldn't take that. These are our brothers, these are our sisters, these are our uncles or cousins or family or friends, and we're at odds with each other. A lot of people like talking about a civil war and they fantasize about it. That tells me those are weak men that fantasize about that. That's not a good outcome. To be at war with your own countrymen, it's not good. And I hope it doesn't happen. We need to really start getting our shit together as a whole. And people need to stop being a part of such a fucking tribe. Okay? I am not a hardcore Republican. I am not a hardcore Democrat. I am neither. I am my own man and I think my own way. That is it. There's some things that I may lean a little liberal, and there's some things that I may lean a fucking little on the right. People need to start thinking for themselves instead of some fucking political pig out there putting thoughts in your head and rallying behind some pig, because they all are, no matter what fucking side of the fence you are on. Adios.